Welcome back to Where is the Money? So the money is not with the middle class as we know. So a lot of people are up in arms and excited about the Feds cutting the rates. Now it's lower. Is that a good thing though? Some people say yes, other people say definitely no.
Yeah, the Fed having to lower interest rates again is not good news. Yeah, in fact, it's pretty bad news. It means that the economy is just not doing well. And there are no real plans to improve this economy. If you know of any, let me know in the comments, because seems to be no plan whatsoever. And all you see in the news lately is thousands and thousands and thousands of people losing their jobs. And if you ask anyone, and I mean anyone who's looking for a job right now, they will tell you right to your face that it's nearly impossible. That is extremely difficult to get a job right now. So let's see. Thousands and thousands of people are getting laid off, and it's extremely difficult to get a job. And the Fed says, hey, let's lower interest rates. That should help things. Yeah, probably not. Like and follow for more. We'll be talking about this for a while because I don't think this little rate cut's going to do much at all. And I think the economy is in a lot worse shape than anyone's willing to admit.
Now, this person feels like the lowering of the rates by the Feds does not paint a good picture for the state of the economy. He seems to believe that this means the economy still needs stimulating. It's not doing what it's supposed to do. People are not spending, companies are scaling back, they're making record profits, but they're cutting back the workforce. And when those workers are cut back, and those hours and positions are laid off, that's less money that those individuals will have to spend on goods, putting back into the economy. So as that cycle has continued for the last year, it is not a good sign for the economy.
Hiring right now, not fantastic, hasn't been. Inflation is holding, but it's up a little bit.
One of the things that we saw today actually is because Powell guided that the Fed might not cut at that December meeting, longer-term interest rates actually moved up today. Mortgage News Daily tracks the national average of 30-year fixed-rate mortgages. They went up 0.14% to 6.27%. So mortgage rates actually moved up today despite the Federal Reserve cut. What do we see moving down? Typically, credit cards and other shorter-term loans, those tend to have their interest rates in many cases, not all of them, but many cases tied to the Fed funds rate or a similar rate. And so you might see a slight decrease in the interest rate that is out there on credit cards, potentially meaning, hey, if you have to borrow and leave a balance on a credit card, maybe the balance is a little lower. But remember, the national average for credit card interest rates is close to 20%. It's not making a huge dent there.
The lowered rates is a Hail Mary to try to help the economy get back on track. So is the economy in worse shape than what they're letting on here? Are they trying to make things look better than what it is just to make sure people do not panic? But some people, regardless, is looking around like, hey, things is looking pretty strange right now. Everything is not okay. So maybe we're looking at this rate cut all wrong. Maybe the rate cut has a bigger picture that people are not willing to admit right now. Is there a secret meaning on what the rate cut means and how they're using this to help out and stimulate the economy? Is it driving a further gap in between the rich and poor through this rate cut? Let's explore.
Okay. So the word you all are looking for is planned obsolescence. That's what the Republican Party's doing. It's an old business term, but basically it means you create a problem that you already have the answer to. And in school, they taught us, like in the 1930s, when all the tire companies like Firestone and Goodyear got together and they bought up all the trolley lines in America, just so they could destroy them, just so people would have to ride buses and buy cars, and then they could sell more tires, right? They created a problem they already had to answer to. Same thing the Republican Party's doing, right? By withholding all these federal funds, right? By not paying government employees, by taking away social safety nets, SNAP, WIC, welfare, Medicare, all that shit, right? They're doing a couple of things at once. The first thing is by keeping the money out of the system, it makes the money more valuable, right? So that's a feather they could stick in their hat. Look at how much the dollar's worth now, right? Because there's less of it available. Forgetting that they're the reason that's less of it available. Then they'll go, well, because the dollar is worth more, everything else is going to shoot up in value. But people have to have a way to get those things because they're more valuable now, right? So what's going to have to happen is the Fed is going to have to drop interest rates even lower. Now, they just dropped it already this week they dropped it a quarter. So it's like 3.75, right? But Republicans wanted about 2.5. They'll probably settle for 3, but they really wanted it about 2.5. So that means this has to go on longer in order to get the Fed to drop rates. And once the Fed drops rates, it makes the money more attractive to borrow, right? So if you're already a homeowner and you're paying, 4%, 5%, and now all of a sudden it drops to 3%, you're more likely to refinance, right? Or to even buy a house, buy a car, like all those things that you need money to purchase. Now that money's cheaper to borrow, right? So now the economy looks like it's going better, right? Because people are buying and spending. And then the last feather in their hat, they'll give us a stimulus check, right? And they might even go as high as $2,000 per adult. Now, by itself, none of it seems relevant, but when you're on the brink, that $2,000 can seem like a lot of money. Not forgetting the fact that they're the reason you need the $2,000, right? Not forgetting the fact that you're probably already like 5 to 10 in the hole before they even gave you the $2,000. Just like COVID, right? They popped up with that $1,500. Most people were already $5,000 in the hole, but they saw that $1,500 and was like, "Oh my goodness, thank goodness for the stimulus check," right? It's an old business trick. It's business at its highest perversion is what it is. But that's how they all operate.
So is this the case? Planned obsolescence? Are the Republican Party putting this situation together to help stimulate the economy through cutting all of these programs so that money is not circulating to the point that it drives up the value of the dollar? Is that the master plan? According to him, they're looking for 2.5%, and at that rate, borrowing money is very attractive. I think it's less so for the mortgages and the cars to the average person because the average Fed rate does not affect the mortgage rates and the loan rates directly. But them lower rates do look appealing to the business class, the rich class, where they can pull out more money and gobs and billions of dollars from the banks at low rates. Now about them stimulus checks, it would be very interesting to see the Republicans send out stimulus checks considering it was so hated by the party when the Democrats did it. I can't even imagine the Republicans having to do that. I'm pretty sure that would be the last possibility before doing that because they do not want to help the lower or middle class at all. They want to just extract value monetarily through taxes and government and hoard all of that wealth at the top.
The Fed just made a 25 basis point rate cut, so that means mortgage rates just went down again, right? Wrong. And if you're new here, I'm Leonard Laura. Let me explain. The Fed controls short-term rates. Mortgage rates are based off the 10-year, and the anticipation of today's rate cut has actually been baked into mortgage rates for weeks. And if you talk to anybody in the mortgage industry, they will tell you that mortgage rates actually took a turn for the worse today. So don't fall for the rates are dropping right now propaganda. And if someone is calling you and telling you that mortgage rates are dropping because the Fed cut rates, that's a huge red flag.
I was just watching the live conference with Jerome Powell, and a reporter asked Jerome Powell, Do you think that cutting rates again is going to give AI an additional boost? Let me explain. These companies are building these giant data centers. They are spending inordinate amounts of money, literally billions of dollars, on AI, creating all of these data centers and dumping tons of money into innovation because they believe that they're going to get the return back on their money. However, understand that they would need to take back in, I think it's $28 trillion by 2029 in order to recoup their money, which is an insane number. And when the reporter asked Jerome Powell this, Jerome Powell literally just basically said, that's not our problem. and it's not really the Fed's job to try to manipulate and control markets in that particular way. That's what capitalism is, right? In a capitalist society, you can borrow as much money as you want, even if it's a crazy gamble. And even if it's a gamble that is responsible for destroying the job market, which is what AI is doing. But what's funny about that is they cannot figure out a way to monetize AI. That's why they're starting to release things like rated R chat. Let me just say that. They're starting to release these sort of inappropriate AI innovations because they need to quickly find a way to monetize this and convince you that you need to be paying some sort of subscription fees. Because so far, pretty much every enterprise company that has tried to monetize AI or use AI to replace their workers, it's failing over and over again. Anyways, our entire economy right now is literally just a house of cards. So I don't know, like, hang on to your ass. I would not buy a bunch of stocks right now. I would honestly sit tight.
So if it's helping the rich and it's not so much helping the average working class person or family, how does it help the rich? Does it help the rich buy more assets and servers with the AI that help put regular workers out of work? If this is a real indication of the economy not doing great, then what is all this hype about them cutting the rate if it does not affect us in a positive way? You tell me. Put your comments below. Let's talk about it. This is Where is the Money? Talk to you soon.